I'm going to tell you about the worst time of my life. I had this girlfriend, very in love with her. We spent 8 years together, and then after that we spent 1.5 years together, living a nightmare. And the thing is, one of the most horrible things about this is that I never learned the reason for it. So after 8 years, my girlfriend just suddenly became a different person. Extremely uncommunicative, extremely irresponsible, extremely untrustworthy. She I don't know if you call it embezzling or stealing. Like she took all the money that I'd given her for 4 months rent and bills, and kept it herself. And then she lost her job and wouldn't explain why. And this is right when I got the notice that our house was being repossessed and that our utilities are being turned off. And so, like, imagine having that happen in your life, totally unsuspecting, and the one person who has the answers won't say, and also appears to be unable to be a part of any kind of solution. So I basically had to fix the situation blindly, and meanwhile, like, my girlfriend was now like more like a hostile, dangerous roommate, because of like any questions that I'd ask, or a lot of times we just met with just this violent defense that didn't provide any information, but just would just expose you to like just high levels of anger, or this weird kind of like remote icy calm, like you were talking to somebody who'd already passed away and they no longer care about like worldly things. And eventually that became normal. Eventually waking up and feeling like depression clamped down on top of me like just a black stinking cloud became my way of life. And after 1.5 years of that, like her losing like 4 different jobs, we only had 1 car and she needed it all the time and she couldn't afford to use it. So I had to insure it and keep it full of gas so she could leave. And every time she'd leave, I was like, I don't know if she's coming back. I don't even know where she's going. So I couldn't get her to go to counseling. And eventually, like, I became so used to life being like a nightmare that I realized I couldn't help myself anymore. And also, it'd gone on so long that none of the people in my life were interested anymore, really. Like, they were withdrawn. And sometimes they made me feel like I was the problem. Like how could you let yourself be victimized like this? That kind of thing. How could you live that way? Well, you know, what's wrong with you that you can't get your house in order? And you know, I don't even know if that's true or not. Like, that might just be a complete fantasy, some sort of like sick delusion that I had. But there's no way to know in that state of things, other than to like think back, like, who was trying to help me. And if you say nobody, as far as, well, that's not entirely true. So, I mean, I guess, no. Anyway, so I went to this counselor, and it took a long time, and I think what the counselor was trying to get me to was a sense of proportion and priorities, because I was so freaked out, I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do, or, you know, everything was upside down, and all this work figuring out what priorities were eventually led me to believe that the most important thing is my health and my mental well-being. And at this point in time, I was having trouble going up a flight of stairs. I was so full of panic and depression all the time. Not every moment of the day. It's one of the things that I learned by keeping a moment-to-moment journal. But every day was full of depression. And I was slowly starting to shut down and be unable to function. I was quickly on my way to losing my own job. So basically I saw that the priority was I needed to escape my that terrible living condition. And everything else could be worked out afterwards. You know, it's like, I'm like, well, what about this? What about that? You know, hey, what about our house, for instance? And I had to like put that aside, like, well, I don't know what's going to happen to the house. But I do know that if I stay here any longer, you know, this miserable life might seem all that I am ever going to have, you know? And so I escaped, and it was really hard after that. It was really hard to function. I had trouble. I left my job and took a trip, and after that I had a lot of trouble re-establishing any kind of regular routine. And it was almost a battle to become normal again. And I sometimes think that I'll have like those battle scars for the rest of my life. So part of that reminds me to never let a battle like that go too long, to respond faster, so that you don't lose like emotional, mental, physical maneuverability. Remember, I was dating this one girl, and she canceled our date to go on a date with a different guy, and she really wanted me to know it. And I pretty much reacted with just no emotion. Like I wasn't disappointed, upset, jealous, or anything like that. I'm like, oh, okay, if that's what you want to do. And I think that kind of like that super like, you know, slamming close the massive blast doors across my emotions was something that was a leftover from that that nightmarish, like these survival techniques that you learn to protect yourself emotionally in an abusive situation. Because really what I was supposed to say is like, wait, you're canceling a date with me so you go out with this guy? Well, I hope this guy's really great, because I don't feel like, you know, we're going to be dating again anytime soon. You know, that was a nice choice. Nice way to let me know that you didn't respect me or really even give a damn about our relationship. You know, hope she takes you someplace nice. Oh man, I laugh to keep from crying, actually, and I guess like this isn't really a story of tragedy as much as a story of success, because tragedy is something that you can't recover from, and so being in like the black pit of despair, going through this black tunnel, sometimes you have to dig straight to the light and forget about everything else until you're in the light, and then you can see clearly, or at least see enough to make better decisions.